In the early hours of the new year, as families gathered to celebrate, death, according to Russian officials, came from the sky. The Kremlin says Ukraine carried out a drone strike in the Kherson region, targeting a cafe and a hotel in Horly on the Black Sea coast, places where civilians were marking the arrival of January 1st. According to preliminary information cited by Russian authorities, 24 people were killed. 29 others were injured. Among them, officials say, were children. The attack, Russian officials claim, occurred shortly after midnight when Ukrainian armed drones struck the buildings, triggering fires that tore through crowded rooms filled with New Year's revelers. Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Kremlin says, was briefed directly by Kherson Governor Vladimir Saldo, who described the incident as a terrorist attack carried out by Kyiv.
This is a regular cafe where people gathered for a New Year's celebration. There were more than 100 of them there. Most of them were on a guest list. Those who actually survived, they naturally possessed their documents. These were people, well, in their middle years. There were many young people around 20 to 25 years old. They also sustained injuries. Many of those who sustained such severe injuries that they didn't even seek medical attention at a hospital. They personally extracted the shrapnel from their own bodies. On the spot, those who were helping immediately rushed to assist. But the enemy kept threatening and didn't allow any opportunity. Reconnaissance drones, scout drones were hovering, making it impossible for anyone to approach to provide assistance to those who were still remaining there, although the fire was so intense that it was already impossible to enter. Well, so these were many different kinds of people. These were folks who perhaps had traveled to visit family or friends. This is southern Russia, a very warm and pleasant region. They had come to check on loved ones and went there with their children to have some fun around the festive Christmas tree.
Russia's Investigative Committee says it has opened a criminal case on terrorism charges, vowing that everyone involved will be identified and brought to justice. Authorities say the names of the victims will be released as bodies are identified and the investigation continues. In a sharply worded statement, the Russian Foreign Ministry accused Ukraine of deliberately targeting civilians, calling the strike a barbaric atrocity and alleging it was carried out using armed UAVs. Moscow claims the attack came just hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's New Year address, in which he spoke about peace, a contrast the Foreign Ministry described as cynical and morally bankrupt. Russian officials further alleged that the strike was intended to distract from battlefield setbacks faced by Ukrainian forces and to intimidate residents of regions Moscow says have joined Russia following referendums. The Foreign Ministry also linked the Kherson incident to what it described as recent Ukrainian drone attempts elsewhere in Russia, including a claimed effort to target a presidential residence in the Novgorod region days earlier, an allegation Kyiv has not publicly addressed. According to Moscow, Russian air defenses intercept Ukrainian drones daily, including about 10 such attacks in a single day, as officials accuse Kyiv of trying to derail any prospects for peace. In its closing message, Russia placed responsibility not only on Ukraine's leadership, but also on Western governments, accusing them of enabling the attack through continued military and financial support. The Foreign Ministry called on international organizations and foreign governments to publicly condemn what it described as a terrorist strike against civilians, warning that silence, in its words, would amount to complicity. As investigations continue, Russian officials say families are mourning, survivors are recovering, and the new year in Horly has been forever marked, not by celebration, but by tragedy. As the clock struck midnight, ushering in the new year, joy in a small coastal village in Russian-controlled Kherson turned to terror. Russian authorities claim Ukrainian drones struck a hotel and cafe in Horly, where civilians had gathered to celebrate, shattering the night of festivities with sudden violence. According to Russia's foreign ministry, at least 24 people were killed, including one child, and more than 50 others were injured, among them 6 minors now receiving hospital treatment. Many, officials claim, were burned alive as fire ripped through the crowded building. Vladimir Soldo, the Russian-installed governor of the region, said 3 drones hit the venue during the celebrations. One of the drones allegedly carried an incendiary mixture, triggering a massive blaze that quickly engulfed the structure.
To our great regret, there are children among the victims. There is one child who is difficult to identify at the moment, as it is only possible to estimate from their height. The footage is extremely harrowing. Charred bodies, and it is clearly not just the result of the fire, but also of incendiary munitions that struck after the initial shrapnel hit those present. This is an ordinary cafe, located in a small resort village near a hotel. Not long before midnight, apparently during our president's speech, such a terrorist act was carried out. Prior to this, the first reconnaissance-type drone was hovering and crashed nearby. Further strikes followed. This was a festive evening, which the enemy disrupted in this manner, attempting to shatter the peaceful lives of citizens and show that peace will not come for a long time yet. That is, they are clearly acting against the aspirations of our president and the President of the United States, who are doing everything to bring about a peace agreement. But apparently the Kyiv regime does not want this, revealing its savage face in this way.
Images released by Soldo's press service showed charred ruins, scorched walls, and bodies covered with sheets amid the rubble. Ukraine's military has not responded to the allegations yet, but Moscow wasted no time assigning blame. Russia's foreign ministry called the strike a deliberate terrorist attack, accusing Ukraine of intentionally targeting civilians gathered for New Year's Eve. The ministry said there was no doubt the attack had been planned in advance, labeling it a war crime. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova went further, saying Ukraine's Western backers were ultimately responsible. Senior Russian politicians, including the speakers of both houses of parliament, issued statements condemning Kyiv. Soldo compared the incident to the 2014 Odessa trade union's house fire, one of the most controversial and painful episodes of the post-Maidan period, when dozens died in a blaze during violent clashes. The comparison underscores how emotionally charged this incident has become inside Russia. Kherson is one of 4 Ukrainian regions Russia claimed in 2022 through referendums widely rejected as illegal by most Western nations. Fighting and drone attacks have continued across these territories as the war grinds on. The strike in Horly comes amid rising tensions. Just days earlier, Moscow accused Kyiv of a failed drone attack targeting a residence linked to Russian President Vladimir Putin in Novgorod region. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov described that incident as an act of state terrorism. The Kremlin has since claimed the latest attack was aimed not only at civilians, but also at undermining international efforts toward a negotiated settlement, including initiatives supported by US President Donald Trump. For now, investigations continue. Facts remain disputed, and verification is limited. But as dawn broke over Horly, Russian officials say the new year began not with hope, but with fire, loss, and unanswered questions, underscoring once again the brutal human cost of a war with no clear end in sight.